Check. Okay. Alright, I think now I'm officially live. Alright, hold on. One sec. Yeah, you should still be able to hear the music. Good. Okay. Just setting you can change. This is for. What the heck? Okay. Things should be fine. But it's like no data. But then it's like, oh, you're fine. But no drops in frames. Like, oh my god, bro. Hold on, I'm hiding screen again. Sorry. Sorry if you're joining. This is just like a test stream. I'm trying to figure out everything in terms of my like audio settings and my OBS settings. If you are here and are like have like a few minutes to help me, that'd be great. I'm trying to get someone to come over just to watch my stream and help me. But I'm just trying to fix some stuff because I'm aware that last stream that I did on Sunday night, the audio was completely desynced. And like I can't do anything about it, you know. like in the middle of the stream, or else like the stream does crash. And even if I do try to fix it, it doesn't always fix right, you know. So I'm not exactly like sure what to do about it. I'm also then trying some new settings to make sure I don't like completely destroy my internet when I stream. And I should have like a more stable connection, so like we should not have any more of those like those moments where like the frames drop dramatically, etc. But yeah, give me 1 second, because I'm trying to like listen to my own stream at the moment. So just give me just 1 second. And then after I'm done fixing or attempting to fix all this, then I do want to talk a little bit about like this whole Billy Donovan thing. Because I am aware of what's been suddenly said about Billy Donovan and him being on the hot seat, which I'm gonna be real, I don't believe it. It just seems like a Bleacher Report thing, but I'll discuss why I don't really believe it after I try to fix this all. So just give me 1 second. If you're able to type in chat and able to help me, that'd be very much appreciated. But I also understand if you can't. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm watching myself on my phone right now. All right, check 1, 2. Okay, so yeah, the audio seems pretty good for this stream. So I'm just gonna hope that it's just like it's not necessarily something that I can really control. And ideally it's like it is something that maybe like I'll have to like check before every stream, honestly. Like I'm gonna have to like pretty much just like turn on my own stream and like go through the preview that I get, or maybe even like do it on my like other channel just to kind of see where I'm at in terms of just overall how things look for audio, because like I don't want what happened on Sunday to happen again. It's also happened to me in videos, like it just randomly in videos, like I'll be recording a video, it's fine for like 2 minutes, and then suddenly it like the desync just suddenly happened. So yeah, I'm not really too sure what to really do about it, but the biggest thing is that I think I sound fine right now, and overall things look okay. Hold on, I'm seeing chat. Give me a second here. You're seeing now in the small window, the video blinks when you load a web page into the video. Are you aware of the blinking? So that's me changing scenes, RT Blues. So when I do this, for example, right, that's intentional. It's me transitioning to my hide screen set scene. I have it in OBS, and then when I transition to the main my main screen most of the time, then it is gonna blink. So that's fine. Not that. What do you mean then? Because I didn't upload, like I didn't try to upload a window. So are you saying when I do this that my stream blinks, is what you're saying? That's what you're trying to tell me? Video blinks continually every few seconds. Really? Okay, so I'm watching my own stream right now, RT Blues, and I don't know what you're specifically talking about. So so I switched over to this one. So, RT, the last video, like, I'm being real, like, there's nothing when I remember watching moments where my camera would freeze. So I don't know if that's what you're talking about. And then the screen would also then decide to like completely like flicker when my camera froze. So I'm aware of that, but that honestly, it just like that's something I can't control, you know? And I honestly think it's kind of RNG in terms of whether that's going to be a problem or not. So I don't know if it's that specifically, because I'm even going back into my stream right now, and I'm not seeing specifically what you're talking about. And I'm talking about for this stream specifically. RT, do you know, are you able to do clips right now? Like, are you able to clip potentially when it happened? Because I'm still scrolling through my own VOD, and I'm not seeing for this stream. I'm aware about last stream. Last stream is just the one on Sunday is just chalked. It's seriously just like it's just a bad run, unfortunately, and I can't do anything about that one. RT, first off, I appreciate you helping me with this, but when you say blink, what are you saying, that like my screen goes completely black for a second, or what happens? Because maybe I'm just not spotting it in my own stream. Not blacked out, just like a microsecond blip. You gotta be more specific. Like I'm not entirely sure what that means. Like, RT, is it like freezing? Is that what you're saying? Because now I'm starting to think it might be a YouTube issue. Okay, well, the reason why I asked though is like, is it like when you thought it happened, like did my camera freeze? Because then if that would tell me that it's like all of OBS is like frozen, and that's what's causing it. But if it's not that, then I don't know what to tell you. I think honestly it could be a YouTube issue, maybe. But either way though, if it's not like actively hindering you know, the viewer's ability to read the text on the screen, then I'm not gonna be too worried about it. But if you told me though, like you said, it was happening consistently, then I do want to try to fix it. Tell me this, RT. Is the quality, is it like actively like looking like 1080p for you? Wait, hold on. It's like Team USA is the favorite, and you know. Did you send a link in the chat? Because links don't show up in the chat. Is if you're if that's what you're saying, or did you send me? Did you send it to my Twitter? Oh, is that okay? I appreciate it. Suddenly, there's just that one game where close. So I think honestly he should have won MVP, but you think that the world caught up to Team USA because they don't have any talent, but it's because Steve Kerr didn't play his rotations correctly? Because if you're making that. Okay, so not gonna lie, I've had this issue on my phone recently when I'm watching YouTube, and it's not just my videos. Yeah, I'm not. I genuinely do not know what that issue is. That because I'm like rewatching my past stream right now, and like I see times when my camera freezes, and then I see times when like my audio is like extremely desynced, like, and I'm very aware of that. But in terms of that sort of thing where it looks like it like blacks out for a second and then it will go back, I haven't seen it yet. I'm gonna watch my entire stream though later today. Like I'm just gonna watch from start to finish and just like no audio, just try to see if that does happen. But yeah, I don't know. maybe YouTube's just being weird, honestly. Did you watch the Olympics in the Googla? Yeah, so I appreciate the time, RT. So I truly do appreciate you taking the time. This helps a lot. Just one last question. The video quality, it does look like 1080p, right? Like it doesn't look like it's like 480p or something. Because like I see 1080p as an option, and like to me it looks fine, but because when I pulled out on my phone, it looked alright. Looks at me? Alright, good. Appreciate it. Okay, hold on. Let me just change the title for 1 second, and then we'll talk about Donovan here. All right. Sorry. Restarting music, and should be good to go here. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure the music's not too loud. All right, that should be. Actually, that's too low. There we go. Good. All right. So, again, thank you, RT, for trying to help me there. Not entirely sure what's going on. I'm aware of the audio desync. And again, I that's not something I have it so like, so the initial mic settings and the OBS settings are always desynced. So like I have it adjusted so it shouldn't desync, but then I don't know. It's just weird. My computer sometimes I guess just can't handle it all, and then it like gets really weird. But I'm aware of that. But hopefully the blinking doesn't continue to happen. Because honestly, I think that might just be a YouTube problem, and will be something I can't really fix, unfortunately. But it is annoying, I will say. All right, so Billy Donovan. I do not really know why this article just kind of randomly dropped. So this is a Bleacher Report article that was dropped on August 10th. And it says Bleacher Report NBA staff. And so I was like, okay, interesting. And so they have a bunch of writers that they kind of all just, like pull together and decide, hey, here's some coaches that we think are going to be in the hot seat. And I looked through this entire article. I'm like, Taylor Jenkins, that makes no sense. Willie Green also doesn't make any sense, but I guess I can kind of see it because now that they've officially made like the major changes where, you know, they went and got DeJounte Murray. And so if they don't achieve with this current roster, then I can see Willie Green being in the hot seat. Chauncey Billups makes no sense to me because they just started their rebuild. Like you can't be upset with Chauncey Billups after just 1 year of Scoot Henderson when he didn't perform very well. That makes no sense. Now, I am not the biggest fan of Quinn Snyder, so maybe, but then Doc Rivers makes a lot of sense. But Billy Donovan's in this list. And so I'm like, okay, I look into it, and so Greg Schwartz, who you can find him on Twitter pretty easily, just type his name in. He did not make any other article or tweet about this. This is just his own writing in this article saying that this idea that Billy Donovan and the Bulls working together just doesn't make any sense. Kind of what he's saying. He's like, well, this doesn't fit well anymore because Chicago is actually looking to be bad, and Billy Donovan in his head coaching career has always been on a winning team, right? He's always continuously been on a winning team where they're fighting for the playoffs. He's always had veterans on his team that he can rely upon, and therefore this is not going to work out well together. And here's my only thing with what he's trying to say here. I honestly think that the Bulls are really not like actually full out tanking, and they still haven't said that this is a rebuild. They've just said that this is like a major change of their roster, and that, you know, them getting Josh Giddey and going and signing Jalen Smith, like those are just making a young core for their roster, but they haven't said that this is a rebuild yet. And I still think that this team is going to be trying to fight and win every single game that they can this upcoming season. They obviously want to trade some of their players away, like Levine and Vucevic, but that does not mean that they're trying to that they're trying to actively lose. And so to me, that what this guy is saying, that hey, Chicago wants to be bad or should want to be bad, I actually think that that's not going to happen. I think that this Bulls team is going to be trying to win. So yeah, I don't necessarily understand this whatsoever. What the guy says is true, but Reinsdorf ain't firing Billy. I don't know if this guy's necessarily right, because yet, like I said, I think that this team is actually going to try to win. And if Billy is being told by the front office, hey, let's try to win every single game, then why would he be looking to leave? I think he's just trying to look for ways to just try to win each basketball game. And I think because of the relationships that he has with the players on this roster, you know, forget about Zach, I think he probably wouldn't want to leave, honestly. I think that he'd actually like actively look for a reason just to stay. And it's not just because of the players that he knows, it's also because that he is getting probably paid a decent chunk of money from the front office and has a very good amount of job security here with the Bulls, which is not something that's guaranteed anywhere else in the NBA. So to me, I think this guy is just grasping at straws and really doesn't have any sort of evidence to back up this sort of claim. I think that his idea, I mean, you would think that the Bulls are trying to be bad this season, but I don't necessarily know if that's going to be the case. And I think that he's probably just thinking that if there is a time to part with Billy, it's now, but there hasn't been any sort of indication whatsoever that Reinsdorf or the front office wants to part with Billy Donovan. And everything that we've heard from so far is that Billy Donovan and the front office have a great relationship. And we know that the front office isn't getting fired anytime soon. So why do we think that Billy Donovan's going to get fired anytime soon? Not to mention, Reinsdorf doesn't want to pay dead money. And firing Billy Donovan means paying dead money. He did say, though, that in this part, which is, I think, interesting, whether it's a firing or a mutual split, expect the Bulls to look for a younger head coach who specializes in player development and for Donovan to explore opportunities with the win now organization. So the only thing that I could see, and maybe he's right about this, is that maybe the front office and Billy Donovan actually agreed to a split. Therefore, the front office and the Bulls do not have to pay off Billy Donovan's rest of his contract. And Billy Donovan can part ways from the Bulls. Maybe that is something that could actually happen. But I still don't think that's going to happen, because I still think that this front office loves Billy, and they have no reason to even think about trying to fire Billy or get rid of Billy at this point. They could bring back prime Phil Jackson and he wouldn't win with this roster. Oh, absolutely. I agree with you, but we have to remember this, though. Like, when Billy was first brought in, okay, like, just saying, like, I think Billy's is not willing to be on a absolute rebuild roster, right? I think Billy Donovan does not want to be on a roster that is like flat out only going to win like 17 games in a season, right? So, for example, like the Detroit Pistons. But when Billy was first brought in, this was his first year, and they were 31-41. So I can genuinely see like a world where Billy's like, hey, yeah, we're probably not going to be, you know, a 500 team, and we're definitely not going to be over 500. But he could probably convince himself, like, hey, this team can win 30 games or something, or maybe win 35 games. And he'd be like, I'm willing to take the challenge, knowing that in a couple of years we should be on a winning trajectory. And I'd like to stay here, knowing that I have better job security here and probably get paid better here, right? So I don't know. It's just interesting to think about, you know? I don't think they'll be very good, and I take the under if I game. Oh, I 100% agree, but I don't know what the projections are yet, and I think that they're still waiting for Zach LaVine to get traded. So we can't exactly make a good under, projection or over-under projection yet. Win total projections, take the under. Yeah. I agree with that. They did have to pay Tibbs for a year while also paying Hoiberg, but I also think that was different because I think that they were the front office was legitimately pissed at Tibbs because they said to Tibbs play Tony Snell and he didn't, and then he's just like, screw you guys. And so they did everything in their willpower to beg to Reinsdorf to fire Tibbs, which again is like, I don't think the front office has any issues with Donovan at the moment, so I don't see it happening. That is one instance where they have done it, and the other instance is with Jim Boylan. But the problem with Jim Boylan was that he was getting paid at max like $1 million. Like, it was not much money for Jim Boylan. So if they weren't willing to eat $1 million, then it's kind of just like, bro, like, Jesus, man. So are you saying they're building the roster to suit Billy? If so, they're dumber than I thought. I'm not saying that they're building a roster to suit Billy. All I'm saying is that I think that this front office is saying that they're not rebuilding, right? I think that this front office is basically saying we're not trying to actively tank. We're not actively trying to be bad. We are just trying to refix our roster, and Billy thinks, and maybe he's convinced, or maybe he's not convinced, but again, he's getting paid good enough that, yeah, I can try to have this roster be as good as possible this year, and then in like 2 or 3 years, this team's gonna probably be on a good trajectory, and then I'll still be here and be coaching this team. That does not mean that I think that this team, that the front office is trying to suit what Billy Donovan's coaching style is. All I'm saying is that they have not actively said that this is a rebuild yet. Therefore, why would we say that this team is actually trying to be, trying to keep their pick, which they should, and why don't they think that, oh, we could win, 37 games this season, which they're not going to. I can promise you that, unless Josh Giddey becomes like an absolute like Luka Doncic type player. Like, they're not winning 35 games this year, but maybe they can convince the fans and Billy Donovan that they could. Says, when is Zach is effective winning with or without Zach? I take the under. I mean, that's up to you to decide. I think that, in 2020, 2021, Zach very, very much affected winning in that season, and he was obviously the main guy there, but that's my opinion. What's going on, Calvin? I haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, I'm having an alright day. I'm trying the initial part of the stream was to fix my OBS and streaming settings, so that made me frustrated, but overall, though, I'm having an alright day. Hope you guys are all doing well. Semantics calling it a retool. Oh, 1,000,000% they're calling this a retool. Yeah. That's where I'm kind of concerned, Why is the rap on Zach that he doesn't affect winning? I mean, I think the biggest issue with Zach is the fact that he hasn't been healthy. That's what I think the biggest issue is. Then I think that people, like, they look at what has happened with the Bulls when Zach has been here, right? And they're like, well, Zach hasn't done crap here. Like, Zach has the worst winning percentage in like 10 years for a player, right? Well, then here's my argument for all the people that say such a thing. So, I mean, if we're gonna be hella critical with Zach, right? So what about Laurie, who, yeah, he spent some time here with Zach, but then he went on to, go with Cleveland, and now he's been with Utah now. So if we're actively saying that Zach LaVine is seriously a guy that does not affect winning, then Lauri Markkanen is a guy that I'm looking at. I'm like, hey, your winning percentage doesn't look good either, right? And now we're getting to the point where it's year 7. We have a big enough sample size now. And everyone says to me that Lauri Markkanen is a winning player. And I agree. I think Lauri Markkanen is a winning player. I don't think he's the number 1 or 2 option on a championship level team, but sure. I mean, yeah, I think Lauri Markkanen is a winning player. Well, he's 163 and 240 in his career. So what are we thinking then? because the winning percentage says that he's not a winning player. And this is the reason why I hate the argument when people start saying winning percentage for any player, and it's because everything matters. Like, Lauri Markkanen is not going to win in Utah. Like, I think it's pretty evident that I don't care how bad the team, or how, like, or, you know, looking at the current team at the moment and for the previous 2 seasons, like, Lauri's not going to win in Utah. It's just facts, right? It was never ever going to happen with that current team. Now they just paid him, you know, $240 million, right? I don't know what they're doing over there. I honestly think that Utah is just going to be completely stuck in no man's land, and they don't have the luxury, obviously, of spending money either. So that'll be interesting to watch. But yeah, like, I don't understand the whole, like, argument of, like, winning percentage. Now, the one thing that I think that there is legitimate stuff to be said, though, with Zach is when you look at potentially on-off court stats, but I still think there's an argument to be made, like, well, the team's not made for him to succeed, right? So, for example, if you look at the stats for this past season, right, where the Bulls were better without Zach, right? But my whole point to that argument is, like, it's the same argument where people would say, like, well, when LeBron James, you know, is off the court and with the Cavaliers, right, then obviously it's like, oh, it's like, yeah, everything went to crap. When Kyrie Irving went off the court, though, for the Cavaliers, it didn't really change too much because the entire system is built around LeBron. So if you lose Kyrie, right, it's not going to have as much of an impact as if you lose LeBron. And same thing with Kevin Love, but that doesn't mean that they're not winning players, right? And this is, again, before you know, winning the championship. I'm just talking about these sort of ideas. But yeah, I honestly think with Zach, like, people, I agree that he's flawed, but that does not mean that I think he's not a winning player. I think that with Zach, he has been put into this pigeonhole where people think that he is only going to be a guy that takes a bunch of shots in his career and doesn't do anything else, when, I mean, people tell me that Kobe White did so many things last season in terms of, you know, ball handling, playmaking, assisting, etc., etc. I mean, the dude averaged five assists last season. I mean, we've seen Zach LaVine do that before, but no one says anything about that. Like, I'm just saying, like, people have just ideas stuck in their head that they'll never get rid of. And you're right, you have every right to that opinion, but I just think that sometimes we go too far on one end. I think ideally for Zach, and this is something that he has to take kind of, you know, up to himself, where whether it's him being the second option or him being the third option on a championship level type team, he just needs to actively just try to play defense, because I think that his scoring, whether he's averaging like only 20 or he's averaging 25, he's a very efficient level scorer, no matter what. It's just that he has to just then put in the work on the defensive end. And I honestly think that if he's being asked to not, you know, carry so much of the load on the offense, that he'll be a good on-ball defender, which he's shown that already in his career. I think people still think that he's like completely undersized, which he's small in a sense, but he's not undersized like Kobe is, right? Morrissey was a stat I saw on how many players LaVine has played with that are out of the league. Yeah, Steph No had that stat where like it's like over 70% of players that Zach LaVine has played with are out of the league, and Zach has only played in 10 seasons. Like, if this was like a, you know, a full 15-year career, then that might be a little bit more accurate. But the fact that it's only 10 seasons for Zach and 70% of the people that he's played with are out of the league, like, that should probably tell you something, you know? Like, this Bulls team has never been set up for success except for the year that Lonzo did play. I think it's like 91 of the players he played with. Yeah, it's serious amount. Yeah, there's a contract that hampers trading him, and I honestly think that there are going to be teams willing to take the contract. Like, I'm being legit here. Like, the CBA, like you said, has definitely hurt teams' ability to take the contract. But I think the bigger issue right now is the fact that he's injured. No one's gonna trade for, like, give up future assets or even think about taking the money for a player that is injured. So if Zach just comes back and he plays like 30 straight games, I honestly think that teams are going to be looking at him. If he's putting up his normal stats, like, they're going to be willing to take the risk on him, knowing that the Bulls are selling low on him, right? Like, the Bulls are not going to be asking for a lot. They're just going to be like, hey, we just want to get the money off, so give us expiring contracts and we'll take the deal. Like, for a guy that's going to average, 20 plus on good efficiency, and if you can put him into a slot where he's, not as doesn't have to do as much on offense, and he can actually focus on defense, like, if you're just giving up expiring contracts that you do not need, right? I think teams will take that. But the biggest problem is that he has to show that he's healthy. And that is something that I think is a legitimate concern. Like, I think that teams have every right to be concerned about LaVine's health moving forward. I don't blame them whatsoever for that. Like, if they're concerned that his knee's not going to hold up, then fine. That's up to Zach to prove them wrong, right? Last injury was a very minor thing, removing some floating pieces of bone and cleanup thing. Yeah, like, it was a minor thing. I just think that teams look at, players and they're like, hey, like, they've had this many surgeries and it's been this many years in their career, et cetera, et cetera. The numbers actually say, though, that Zach LaVine has played more games than someone like Brandon Ingram has in the past, like, 5 seasons, right? Like, the numbers say that LaVine has actually been one of the more healthier players in terms of overall games played. It's just that when you miss, when you only play 25 games in a season, that's concerning, right? I think that's a legitimate concern to have. But like I said, if LaVine just comes back and shows he's healthy, then, I don't see what the problem's going to be. And the same thing that I say, it's not the exact same situation, but the reason why I tell people right now, because I don't know why people suddenly have this idea that, oh, we're going to trade Lonzo Ball in the middle of the season. Like, so some people are now convincing themselves, because now Lonzo is gonna, like, it looks like he's gonna be healthy to start the season, right? That, oh, we can trade Lonzo. But here's my argument to them. I'm like, well, Lonzo obviously hasn't played in a couple years, but the biggest thing, even if he comes back healthy, like, and if he, like, starts, and only plays like 15 minutes per game to start the year, why would teams trade for him? Like, there's no reason to give up your future assets for a guy that, one, is on an expiring contract. So, even if you want to bring him back, you can't, or you'd have to pay him. But two, I mean, again, injuries. Like, this is a guy that is known to be injury prone, and so even if he looks healthy, like, there's serious risk in being like, why would we trade for him now when there's a legit chance that he does get injured? And I think that's what kind of teams are looking at with Zach, right? Zach is kind of like, well, yeah, he's been pretty healthy the past couple of seasons overall, except for last season, where he only played 25 games. So does that injury come back to him? Does something else get injured? I think that's all the kind of reason why they're all concerned with Zach at the moment. But again, that's just my opinion. I'm not in the front office. That's just kind of the way I look at things. In the end, Lonzo's lost cause trade wise. I agree. Yeah, I think Lonzo is just a lost cause. Like, we're not trading Lonzo. I don't know why people think that's even possible, honestly. And the Bulls should not even be thinking about trading Lonzo. And more importantly, like I said in my past stream, which again I know is scuffed, but the Bulls should not be expecting anything from Lonzo this season. They should be expecting bare minimum if he does play, and then if you get any more than that, then that's fantastic. But just like the past couple of seasons where we come into the season thinking Lonzo's not going to be available, I think that should be the same mentality coming into this season, where you're thinking Lonzo's not going to be available. There's no reason to be thinking that, oh, Lonzo's going to be here and helping us off the bench or starting or whatever. No, just think that Lonzo is not going to be available this upcoming season, honestly, because I just don't see the reason why you would think otherwise. And maybe the front office thinks otherwise, and that's the reason why they're thinking to themselves, hey, we can be a 35-win team this season, which, again, you're not going to be, even if Zach's here and playing all 82 and putting up all-star type numbers. I don't see it happening because this team has no defense, legitimately, besides Io. So, yeah, man, I don't know. Yeah. Zach's legit 3-level score shouldn't be given away too cheap. Picks. I agree. But the front office doesn't think that way, right? The front office thinks that he's not a valuable player and just wants to get the contract off, right? I mean, the article that came out with Jamal Collier basically kind of said it, like, the front office thinks that he's a bad player. So, value-wise, they think that he's nothing. Therefore, they're just trying to get the money off at this point. Which, to me, is bad asset management. But, you know. 2 rotation players in the bag of picks. Where can he go? I don't know, honestly. I really don't. I don't know why I always keep coming back to the Warriors, but I think at this point for the Warriors, it's pretty much not possible. In terms of fit-wise, the Warriors have always made sense, but it just seems pretty. It seems pretty hard at this point to kind of pull this off. I mean, so assuming that Spotrac has their stuff updated at this point. So, I mean, the Bulls they'd have to take back Andrew Wiggins, which I don't want that whatsoever. That trade overall hurts me. But maybe, for example, it's Andrew Wiggins and you throw in DeAnthony Melton, right? Because the Warriors did sign DeAnthony Melton this offseason, and so come January 15th, you'd be able to trade this guy. Or maybe it's Buddy Hield, honestly. I don't know. But you do this, and then the Warriors don't. Their asset pool's not amazing, but you can argue, okay, give us the 2025 pick or whatever. And again, this is the assumption that it's in January and you're trading DeAnthony Melton away. The money then I think could work. I'd have to crunch the numbers. But because now that the Warriors are under the first apron, I feel like that should honestly work, if I'm doing my math correctly. So, I mean, 26 plus 2, so 28 plus 10, so that'd be 38, and Zach's making 40, right? 43, yeah, okay. Maybe we can, I don't know, yeah, just add in this guy, and then honestly, I think the money would work at this point. Crap. Sorry. Hold on. Uh-oh. Spotrac. Spotrac is, they're not, it's slow. That's a little frustrating. So yeah, it'd be like this. Let's see. I just want to make sure I'm doing this correctly. Outgoing cap. Wait, what? I'm only allowed to trade one player? Is that really what we're doing here? Oh, I see. Okay, this is aggregation. Ah, got it. Okay, wait. So instead of him, then we just do something like this. Okay, so then the outgoing cap would be 28. Yeah, so this would work if he DeAnthony Melton, Andrew Wiggins, and then we'll take on Gay Santos. This would work money wise. And then if the Warriors are gonna, maybe they throw in a pick. I seriously doubt it though. I don't know why they would do that, because the Bulls just want to get Zach's contract off. So yeah. The main roster spots take back to all those guys. You'd waive Guy Santos, and then you could yeah, it maybe throw in Dalen Terry or something. It honestly, to me, it wouldn't be that hard. Like you'd waive Guy Santos, and then you could potentially just waive overlap a team, if you want to do that too. Or maybe then you could just immediately aggregate DeAnthony Melton into another trade, so he just doesn't come here anyway. Or you just buy out DeAnthony Melton, right? Or Bitim, sorry, yeah, not Bitim, Bitim. So yeah. So the only guy to be coming back is Andrew Wiggins, which you're saying is a no, which I understand why, but that'd be the trade, right? I don't really see a way the Lakers can do it, honestly. Oh, whoops, sorry. I want to reset. I don't want the Warriors involved. Yeah, so I mean, so D'Angelo Russell just re-upped. And obviously you're not gonna trade Austin Reeves, so then it would be this, which this only gets you to 29. I don't understand this traded player exception, which I don't think this would work. So the Lakers would then have to like throw in Jared Vanderbilt. And even then, it doesn't work because they're over the second apron. And you can't even aggregate. Oh my god, yeah, the Lakers are screwed. This is not going to happen to the Lakers. Yeah, I mean, the only other team I can really think about is Miami Heat. Oh, sorry, I don't want the Lakers involved. And even then, it just does. I don't even. It just. Why would the Heat do this? You know. So it'd be Tyler Hero, which is like you just have cheaper but worse Zach LaVine, I guess, in that sense. But maybe Hero's pissed. Who knows? And then I guess it would be Duncan Robinson. So this would not work because the Bulls would be taking. Okay, you know what? But the Bulls would send something else too. So you'd send like Torrey Craig or something. 338. Hey, yeah. We'll just throw in. Yeah, so instead of Torrey Craig, we'll throw in Chris Duarte. You know. Which again, right now we can't do that because we just traded for him. But I think money wise that would work. So I don't know. That'd be my idea. Zach's be the best player in any trades you cook up, but that's what happens when you sell low, right? Like that's what happens when the front office has done horrible with this, by the way. Like I want to make this clear, right? They've done a horrible job when it comes to LaVine's value. Like they've tanked his value, and then they've also waited too long to trade him if they actually wanted to trade him. Okay, so if you're selling low, you're giving up the best player no matter what, right? And that's what they're doing. Like they're calling teams saying like, hey, take Zach's contract. We're not giving you a pick, but like, please take him. That's what they're doing, right? So if that's the case, right, then this is the trade that I'm cooking up. Like we don't really have much of a choice. And so if the biggest thing for them is to just get this money off the books, and this is what's going to happen, right? It's not fair. I agree. Like for someone of Zach's caliber, you don't trade him for just scraps, but this is what you're doing. Okay, that's what the front office has basically done, which is yet another reason why I'm not happy with the front office. Yeah, but like I said, like these are basically just deals just to move them, because the front office is basically saying that the money that they would get in return, or the cap space they would get in return for just trading Zach, is more valuable right now, and they just do not care about what sort of assets they get in return, which again is one, pointing to that they do not care of actually trying to rebuild, and two, bad asset management yet again by the front office, which is something that we've already known. Just look at the Caruso trade. Yeah. On no circumstances should they attach any future asset or draft capital to Zach. I completely agree. Yeah. If they attach any picks, second rounder, first rounder, I don't care what pick it is. Like even the Portland pick, like they should not attach. And I think a lot of people are like willing to part with that pick, but even still, I'm like, you should not be attaching that pick. If they attach any pick, or if they attach, Dalen Terry or something like that, or I don't know, like if they attach like Julian Phillips, I guess, like they're doing something wrong. Like that is flat out asset mismanagement. And yet again, we're talking about this front office not understanding what to do in terms of trades, because it just seems like so far, in a lot of trades right now, that AK has lost every single one of them. The one that you can argue that the ones that you can argue that they've won are when they've had the leverage, which is when they got Lonzo Ball, which again they have the leverage because he's signing with the Bulls. And then the DeMar DeRozan trade, which a lot of people thought that was an L, but that turned out to be a W. So, I mean, other than that, you can look at pretty much every other trade, and you're like, what? Because the Josh Giddey for Caruso trade is an L, and even if Josh Giddey becomes good, which I think he has a good chance of becoming good, it's still an L. You mismanage how you could get assets for Caruso. The Vucevic trade is an absolute L. Yeah, I mean, you can even argue that the Julian Phillips trade, just to get Julian Phillips, that also looks like an L. Like, because you traded 2 second-rounders just to pick a second-round pick in the current draft. And you can argue that was an L. So, yeah, man, it's frustrating when you look at this front office. You look at pretty much all these trades that they've done, and you're like, man, like, a lot of these have not turned out to be good. And it is really frustrating knowing that if the front office has to make a move, right, or has to make a trade, you're probably thinking to yourself, like, I don't think that like, you have no faith in them. Like, you're thinking that they're gonna get fleeced, and that sort of reputation goes around the league where it's like, hey, the Bulls are not a good front office, and you can 1,000,000% fleece them. So if you're gonna try to trade with them, do everything in your willpower to try to get as much in return as possible. Like, that's something that goes around, you know. Vucevic section was a huge L. Yeah, that was a major L. And what was funny is that I was saying that was an L, and people thought that was a good deal, which I was like, I don't care how Vucevic has looked the past couple of weeks or whatever when they signed him. And yeah, he gets 18 and 10. That was still a horrible deal. They lost the negotiation on that deal, which I don't think people understand that. Like, people think that at the time they were like, oh, $20 million a year for Vucevic, that sounds fine. Well, I'm like, well, you just signed him to a 3-year contract, and the money goes up each year. That's an L. You lost the negotiation. You didn't get the team option, and you didn't get any non-guaranteed on that deal. That's you did bad if you're the front office. And sure enough, here we are, and we're looking at like, man, we want to get Vooch off the books, but we can't. Wow, who would have thought? And then the DeMar DeRozan deal to Sacramento, you don't have the leverage because obviously, or I guess you have some sort of leverage, but it's not a ton. And the fact that they got 2 seconds and Chris Duarte out of it, yeah, you know, it is what it is. You got a bounce? I appreciate you, RT. Thank you so much for helping me out, with just trying to fix everything and then sticking around for a while. I truly appreciate it. I'll see you next stream, all right? So yeah, I know it was kind of a major tangent to kind of go from Billy Diamond to talk about everything else. But yeah, man, I don't really know with Billy. I think that a lot of this rumor here has no legs to it, honestly. But yet again, I'm looking at what's happening with the White Sox, and they fired Grifol, which was kind of a shocker, but was necessary. And maybe the Bulls and Billy Donovan actually do come to some sort of agreement where they mutually split. And maybe it's not after this season, but maybe it was next season, right? So I don't know, man. I really don't know. If this is ever going to come to fruition. I have my doubts. I don't think Billy Donovan is going to be going anywhere. And it also doesn't help that we do not know how long his contract extension was for, because he got that secret under the table extension that was not released to the public, and we have no idea how long that was for. So that doesn't help us whatsoever in thinking of when Billy Donovan could be gone. But like I said earlier in the stream, for Billy, it's like, why would you leave? You're guaranteed a lot of job security with the Bulls. The front office loves you, so they're not going to really be critiquing any sort of your decisions as a coach. And you're probably making a good amount of money here because it is the Chicago Bulls at the end of the day. And so you're probably willing to go through a bad season or two, knowing that you'll have this job later down the road when the team starts to try to win. I do think that the front office did kind of see that there were some coaching changes that were necessary, hence why there were a lot of changes to the staff of Billy Donovan. But in terms of Billy, though, I think they have full faith in Billy, and I just don't see why they would think to be getting rid of Billy at this moment. But maybe Billy is thinking of moving on from this Bulls team. But again, I have my doubts personally. I really don't think that's going to happen. Crazy was saying Tony got the extra prize in the DeRozan trade. Yep. And that prize, like I said earlier, the Bulls need to keep that pick this upcoming season. They don't need the number 1 pick. They just need to keep it top 10. And honestly, like I've said it many times, but for the Bulls, I just think they just need a top 7 pick, and I truly do believe that they'll be fine with just keeping it top 7. But they gotta keep it. They have to keep this pick, but everything indicates that they're not trying to keep the pick, and that's what's frustrating. So we'll see what happens. If the only time that, in my opinion, that it's okay if the Bulls do not keep this pick is if Josh Giddey like legitimately becomes an all-star or like puts up like all-star level numbers and is not named an all-star. Kobe becomes like a 25 point per game scorer. And Patrick Williams, increases his points per game to like 14. And looks like he's going to be like an all defensive team, which at that point you should be winning if that's the case. If all those things become true, then you should be a winning team. But I don't see that happening. I don't think Josh Giddey's going to become an all-star next season or put up all-star like numbers. I don't think Kobe's going to ever average 25 points per game. And I don't think Patrick Williams is honestly going to get to 14 points per game, but I hope he proves me wrong this season because this would be the season. So no, you're 1,000,000% right. Like, they love Billy because he is their spokesperson, and they don't have to do anything. You're 1,000,000% right in that assessment. That's the reason why they love Billy Donovan. You're 1,000,000% right. And honestly, like, here's the thing. I'm not the biggest fan of Billy, and it's not because of his defensive schemes. I think his defensive schemes are very solid, and I give him a lot of credit for it. I've just had issues with the offensive end the past few seasons with Billy. Ever since Billy has come here, he has, I think, done a really good job at the defense, except for obviously the year when Lonzo and Caruso went out. But the defense has been pretty okay. Last year wasn't that great defensively, but like I said, I don't really expect the team to be great defensively. So in the end, it's just like with Billy, to me, it just comes down to the offensive end, where it just seems like he doesn't fully grasp the idea of playing more modern. He likes to slow things down when I don't think he should. And he doesn't seem to ride with some of the other guys. Like, he'd always go to DeRozan, even if, like, let's say Kobe White was hot. But in the end, I think Billy has a very smart mind, which is why the front office likes him, because they think that he is very smart. And I don't disagree. I think that Billy is a pretty smart guy, but I think, being smart is kind of one thing, and then actually executing your ideas and being a good coach is a whole different thing. I think we can kind of point to many times where you think that someone has the smartness, the IQ to do something, but for when they actually have to execute in that position, they don't really have that ability to. Being a coach and being smart, like, it should go hand in hand, but there's a lot more to being a coach than just being smart. There are a lot of qualities you need as a coach. So I would like to see Billy Donovan not be here, but that's not something I can control, and I just don't think it's ever going to happen. So in the end, like RT said, it seemed like a slow news day, and now a bunch of Bulls content creators kind of like hopped onto this news, which I don't really think was much news, but I still wanted to talk about it because I think a lot of people were starting to theorize, like, wow, like maybe this is a possibility, which, I don't really think it was. But we'll see. I'd be very interested to see moving forward. All right. I'm gonna go ahead though and hit the end stream button though. I do appreciate big shout out to RT Blues. Helped me a lot today just to kind of go through the test stream. So the first, I don't even know how long it was, but the first maybe 45 minutes of the stream was just a test stream, just to make sure that I was doing things right with OBS, because the last stream was awful and scuffed. And then, this stream is just talk about Billy. There has not been a lot of Bulls news, honestly, and so I'm kind of waiting to see some other stuff kind of come in here in terms of Bulls news. Like, I guess the one thing I can do, but just to end the stream, is talk about the schedule that has been starting to kind of leak out recently. So for example, the Bulls, we got their the preseason dates which is going to be, excuse me. Oh, we also then got the, I guess it's not on here actually. Okay, well, first off, the Bulls, we have our NBA Cup schedule. So the Bulls are facing the Cavaliers, the Hawks, the Wizards, and the Celtics in the NBA Cup, the in-season tournament. I personally am not, the in-season tournament, I have thoughts on it, but I'm not gonna go too in-depth about it right now because it is just, you know, it is what it is. I don't really think it's too big of a thing, honestly, but I can understand why people care, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. Like, we all know the Lakers won the in-season tournament last season, and I think no one cares, like, legitimately. And I don't blame them, because why would we care? It just doesn't make any sense. Okay, so then we got our preseason schedule. So the Bulls will be facing the Cavaliers away on the 8th, and then the 12th will be at home against Memphis. And then we have an away game against Milwaukee, so we're pretty much home for that game. And then we're going to be home against Minnesota and Cleveland the 16th and the 18th. So that's our preseason schedule, which is nice to know. So Bulls basketball returns on the 8th of October. So that's a good sign. And hopefully we'll see what the team looks like. I think the team that's currently constructed is the team that's going to be there on the 8th, but who knows? Things can happen. But that's gonna be it for today. I know it's a scuff stream and a very weird stream, but I appreciate y'all hanging out with me and helping me out today, RT. That was very, very helpful, and I truly do appreciate it. Next stream we'll have a bigger announcement, and it's gonna be a more professional stream and not something like this. All right, that's it for me today, y'all. Peace out, y'all. Have a good day, and I'll see y'all in the next one.